I think it is so appropriate as we honor the Weber family today appropriately for his heroism, his sacrifice, his service. I think that's an appropriate thing to do as we reflect on what the Coast Guard has meant to the state of Louisiana. For literally decades, the Coast Guard has served our state, served our nation, but very importantly served the state of Louisiana. David's exactly right. As we all went through those awful days of Hurricanes Katrina and then Rita and then Gustav and Ike, there were a handful of agencies and individuals that stood out, that excelled, that saved lives, that focused on doing what needed to be done, not worried about paperwork or getting permission. And certainly at the top of that list, along with our own National Guard, was the United States Coast Guard. And one of the reasons I believe the Coast Guard stood out was, one, they've got a culture that's focused on getting the mission done. It's not about taking credit, it's not about filling out forms, it's about saving lives. Secondly, we know the Coast Guard as our friends, as our neighbors, as our family members. They weren't strangers introducing themselves the days, the moments after Hurricane Katrina came through our state, but instead, they themselves were running to rescue their own neighbors, their own loved ones, their own property. So I think it's absolutely appropriate today we honor one of the Coast Guard's greatest heroes. And I also want to commend the Bollinger family. Chris and Boise, but the entire family have been dear friends to me, along with the Coast Guard. They've also been a great institution in Louisiana for decades. The partnership between the Coast Guard and the state of Louisiana, and particularly the Bollinger Shipyards, has produced thousands of good-paying jobs for our direct employees as well as our indirect employees as well. We know that as the Bollinger Shipyards help to protect our country, they're also producing great economic benefits for the bayou parishes and all parts of our state. But really, we wouldn't be here without the third group of people that we really should be honoring today, and that's the great men and women of the Bollinger Shipyards. Time and time again, they've produced the most efficient, productive, safety-focused work record that you will find at any shipyard across the entire world. I was going to say entire country, but truly the entire world. These are world-class employees that can compete with just about anybody, whether it's commercial business, military business, or private business. Let's give these men and women another round of applause for the great work they do. Admiral Allen, the commandant, has certainly served the Coast Guard well. He served our nation well, but he's also served Louisiana well. He became a friend during those days, right after Katrina, and I know he and his successor both continue to remain committed to our state. We don't hope for another Hurricane Katrina or another Hurricane Rita or Gustav or Ike, but we know we've got great partners in the Coast Guard should that happen. Now, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't say we're thrilled. We're thrilled the first 4 of these have been committed here. We're looking forward to the 34 at least being built here as well. Boise didn't ask me to say that, but in closing, I can't overstate how important these shipyards are to Louisiana's economy and quality of life. You may have seen Gallup said Louisiana ranked 3rd best in the country for creating jobs. Last year, Portfolio said we were 2nd best in terms of economic performance during the recession. 8 of our metropolitan areas had the largest drops in unemployment rates this last month. Indeed, New Orleans now has the lowest unemployment rate of any major city in the entire country. Houma, the bayou area, has got one of the lowest unemployment rates in the entire state. One of the important reasons we're doing so well is the steady, consistent work being done at these shipyards right here, not only for the Coast Guard, but for others. So thank you to the Bollinger family, thank you to the Coast Guard, not only for protecting our country, but being such a great part of the great economy of the great state of Louisiana. Thank you all very much.
I thank the Bollinger family for inviting me to say just a few words today at this really extraordinary and very special gathering of many leaders from our state. And I want to acknowledge, of course, the governor and Senator Vitter, and of course our colleague Bill Cassidy, who represents the Baton Rouge District. We're thrilled that he's here, and acknowledge, even in their absence, the work of our entire delegation. Because when it comes to supporting the military, when it comes to supporting the Coast Guard, when it comes to supporting the needs of the coast of Louisiana, I promise you there's no daylight between the members of our congressional delegation, and I want to acknowledge them. I also want to acknowledge, just briefly, they've been acknowledged by name, but the legislators that are here from their work in Baton Rouge. The session started just a bit ago, and I'm very honored to see so many of the legislators here, because they too pull a lot of weight for the shipbuilding industry in the state, and I thank them. The parish presidents that are here and all the local elected officials I know we have elected officials from as far away as Denham Springs and further up north. I see Mayor Durbin from the town of Denham Springs, and of course, a very special shout out to my brother Mitch, the new mayor-elect of the city of New Orleans, and we're thrilled to have mayors, because what's happening here is important, as his presence here represents to the entire region, but truly to the entire state. This is a strong and significant part of our economy, and I'm proud to just give a few remarks. First to Commandant Thad Allen. As mentioned by other speakers, this gentleman is a true leader, recognized not just in our nation, but internationally. He served 39 outstanding years wearing the uniform of the Coast Guard for our country. And so he is recognized as a leader around the nation. But to people that know him the way we do on the stage, and some of you, he is a true hero to the people of Louisiana and South Louisiana. At our time of greatest need, it was his voice, his strong arms, and the team that he assembled, sitting on, in large measure, the front rows here, that literally saved 33,000 lives and lifted a city and a region and a community that was wounded and frightened and despair, and literally lifted us to higher ground. And I have watched him in extraordinary admiration all of these years, and he and I have gotten to be quite close friends through this time. So I couldn't thank him enough, and I'd really like you all to give him another extraordinary round of applause. His love and dedication to us, and as he said, it was really a great chapter in his 39 years of service. I also want to acknowledge that when many agencies picked up and left, and some did, and some companies picked up and left to find higher ground, and some of it was necessary, but in my view, and I think some of the leadership, some of it was unnecessary, the Coast Guard not only stayed, but they dug deeper. We now have a regional headquarters in New Orleans, in Algiers. And Admiral, if you would stand up, we're very happy to have Mary Landry, the Admiral of the Coast Guard, building a federal city project. And right in Morgan City, we now have, a training, a ground for the Coast Guard. So the Coast Guard is a real friend of Louisiana, and I know that we are their real friend, because Boise, every boat that's been built for the Coast Guard has been built right here at Bollinger Shipyard, and we are so proud to make this contribution. So this is a friendship that works as all good friendships do, both ways, mutually beneficial, and we could not be prouder. This new generation of patrol boats will replace the 110-foot Island-class patrol boat, also, as I said, built here. Bollinger has built every patrol boat in the Coast Guard fleet, including the 87-foot Marine Protector class. This Island class deployed 25 years ago to meet operational needs in southeastern United States, and it performed so well. The boats performed so well, they sent them away to Guam and Alaska as well. So I'm confident that this new generation of boats that we're building here will exceed expectations, and as usual here at the shipyard, because of the Bollinger workforce, come in ahead of schedule and below budget, and we are very thrilled with that work. Bollinger's design for the fast response cutter beat out 26 other competitors in a very tough competition. And yes, the initial award is only for 3. We have in the budget, I think, 34, but what we really are going to fight for, delegation, is 58 boats built right here in the region. As I said, the Coast Guard has deep roots here, and as other agencies fled, they stayed and are helping Louisiana to come back better and stronger, and we will always be at their side fighting for what they need. The men and the women that are building these boats, I hope that you all wake up every day happy and proud to go to work, because many of these boats will be based in ports all over the country starting in the port of Miami, where it will patrol the waters to prevent narcotics from coming onto our shores. It will prevent terrorist attacks on our land. It will look for illegals that should not be here and to keep them appropriately away. So as you come to work every day, I hope that you know that we are grateful in that building these boats, you are truly protecting our homeland every day where it counts, not where the rubber hits the road, but where the keel, I guess, hits the water. And we are very grateful for your help.